Feeling the impact of deteriorating cross-border relations, Ryden's appeals to Canadian customers. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Ryden's border store officials say they've seen a noticeable drop in Canadian customers over the past 2 months as the U.S.-Canada trade war rages on. Many residents in the Thunder Bay area have changed their travel plans due to the Trump tariffs and some persistent rumors about American hostility toward Canadians. Businesses in the northern tip of Minnesota feel like they're caught in the crossfire. Jonathan Wilson reports.
We're definitely down from what we were in the past, and I know the tariffs are scaring some people.
According to statistics from Canada Border Services, the number of Canadian travelers coming back across the border nationwide fell 19% in February compared to the previous February, and then dropped 27% in March. U.S. border stats for the Pigeon River crossing show similar numbers. Ryden's border store manager Jamie Spry says they're seeing an even larger decrease in Canadian customers.
To put into numbers, I guess it's been about a 35 to 40% drop, like March for sure, and we'll see what April brings.
Spry says they're still seeing a lot of their loyal customers, and many of them have talked to him about Canada's animosity for U.S. President Donald Trump and the steep tariffs imposed on Canadian goods.
Oh, sure. I've heard a lot of them. There's been many comments, and there's been a lot of other comments. I mean, I don't know if necessarily it's kind of been both ways. Like I've had Canadian customers that have said, "Good, we really want to see things change in Canada," and there's been the opposite side where why is the U.S. doing this to us?
Despite the tariffs, the Canada customs rules haven't changed much, as Canadian travelers can still take advantage of the duty-free shop if they've spent 48 hours or more in the U.S., and can also bring back $800 worth of purchased items or parcels without paying duties.
I don't think people understand that they'll still have their exemptions if they're down here for a while, and they can still bring things back without having to pay.
As for the drop in customers, Spry says it's not all about the tariffs. The Canadian dollar is 4 to 5 cents lower than it was at the same time last year. And there have been posts circulating on social media about Canadians allegedly being made to feel unwelcome in northern Minnesota. Ryden's officials took to Facebook this week to refute the rumors and let people know those posts are absolutely false. The Java Moose outlet in Grand Marais did the same after someone falsely claimed they were turning away Canadian customers. Spry says he hopes things settle down soon so they can get back to normal again.
We certainly want to see things settle out, and we want to see our Canadian friends coming down. Right now, 95% of our business is generally Canadian travelers or Canadians coming down to pick up their packages and whatnot, and we still see a fair amount, but like I said, it's declined. So yeah, we'd like to see everything get settled for both sides. This will blow over eventually. It may take a while, but I think we'll continue. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here. So,
Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
The work to four-lane the Trans-Canada Highway between Thunder Bay and Nipigon continues. The Ministry of Transportation hosted an open house in Shunya yesterday evening to brief residents on the plan to twin more than a 7-kilometer stretch east of Pearl Lake. Jessica Clement reports.
The Ministry of Transportation is now looking at the latest phase in the plan to twin Highway 1117. The 110-kilometer stretch from Thunder Bay to Nipigon is now 80% completed or under construction. This public meeting focused on the 7.6-kilometer section running east from Pearl Lake. It's currently in the detailed design phase, with the company WSP planning an environmental assessment in the area. The open house at the McGregor Rec Center gave area residents a chance to learn about the project and ask questions.
We really do need a 4-laner all the way to Nipigon, if not beyond, because it's a dangerous road to travel. There are an awful lot of collisions, even when it's 4-lane.
Nicholas Escott is a member of the Thunder Bay Field Naturalists. He and some of his fellow members attended the open house to find out how the project would impact their nature reserve that is currently split by the highway.
It's a very large property, mostly north of the highway, and there's a little bit of it on the south side of the highway, and there's a culvert going across between the two parts. And we just wanted to make sure that there won't be any disturbance because it is now an official nature reserve.
Among the information boards, the MTO showed the recommended design plan for the project, which would see a 3-kilometer separation between the eastbound and westbound lanes. As Scott says, the way the 4-lane design is laid out, it will likely mitigate traffic noise through the property.
As you know, it's a Trans-Canada Highway. There are thousands of trucks going along there all the time. There'll be a little bit less noise because the eastbound lane is going to be some distance away from the westbound lane, which is currently the whole highway. So we get both east and west traffic going through our property. And after this is finished in, he said, 4 years, it'll only be the westbound lane.
Officials with MTO and WSP declined a request for an interview. The MTO is accepting comments on the project up until May 10th. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Ontario's big city mayors are holding an annual general meeting in Markham. Today was day 2 of discussions focusing on issues like housing and the impact of tariffs. CTV's Mike Walker has the story.
I don't think we've ever seen such a consistent level of inconsistency.
Ontario's big city mayors say Trump's tariffs and the global trade war are creating chaos and causing local businesses to push pause.
We have heard directly that they are not expanding lines. They are putting pause on capital expansion projects.
Tariffs front and center at the big city mayor's annual general meeting, where they unanimously passed a resolution calling for stimulus funding from both the federal and provincial governments in response to tariffs to help pay for infrastructure, including transit, roads, schools, and housing.
Not only provides sustainability for projects into the future, but it gets our people to work at a time that there is great uncertainty.
Governments have pledged billions of dollars in response to tariffs. The mayors didn't provide a dollar value, but Toronto's mayor says the city has shovel-ready housing projects where that stimulus money could be spent, including affordable housing.
We could get 20,000 units of housing with shovel in the ground ready to go if we could get some support to defer development charges.
In response, the Premier points to the $22 billion commitment for infrastructure projects he made during the election.
We're going to hand over money to communities that want to build homes or big industrial buildings to attract more businesses here. But they have to start building as quickly as possible.
And while the big city mayors unanimously support more stimulus funding, on Buy Canadian and excluding American companies from bidding on contracts is where there is some disagreement.
Over 22,000 jobs, Canadians that are working in U.S.-based companies here in the city of Markham.
Markham's mayor says his city has opted not to follow others like Toronto that intend on awarding contracts exclusively to Canadian companies.
We would not want to do anything that would jeopardize their ability to bid on tenders or anything that we're buying. Again, it's taken decades to attract those industries.
It's the question of priorities, and we want to prioritize Toronto and local and Canadian company first.
For Toronto's part, Chow says there will be an update next week on how the city plans to implement its tariff response action plan. Mike Walker, CTV News.
The 2025 Wake the Giant Music Festival is shaping up to be a good night. Organizers have released the lineup for the September 6th concert to welcome hundreds of Indigenous youth who travel to Thunder Bay for school. Justin Hardy tells us about the big-name performers.
Tickets are on sale now for what organizers are calling the most epic Wake the Giant yet. Festival organizers released this year's lineup at an event at Dennis Franklin Cromartie High School. The Black Eyed Peas will be headlining with performances by Prozac, Neon Dreams, Crystal Shawanda, Tragically Hip tribute band The Poets, and a number of local acts. The Wake the Giant Festival caps off a week-long citywide orientation for First Nation students from remote communities. Event co-founder Sean Spenrath says the festival is intended to recognize and celebrate these students making a huge leap to further their education.
Not everyone knows about DFC and some of the challenges that these kids come from and they overcome to get an education. And that's a big part of the festival, is just educating Thunder Bay on some of these challenges and what it takes for these students to succeed. It's way more than just a high school education. They're overcoming huge barriers to get that education. So educating Thunder Bay in that is a big part of the festival.
Deborah Thomas, a DFC grade 12 student from Fort Severn First Nation, performed at last year's festival, and since then her career has started to take off with paid gigs in Toronto and Winnipeg. She says the festival fosters inclusion.
Wake the Giant brings a community together of acceptance, diversity, just brings a lot of new opportunities in general. And I honestly love to see it, especially for Indigenous youth.
Tickets for Wake the Giant are available online starting at $115. Kids under 12 are free, but still need a ticket gained through the ticketing website. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Every year, Confederation College celebrates its up-and-coming filmmakers with an exciting one-night-only film festival. The free Conflicts event is happening tomorrow night in the College Lecture Theatre, and the public is invited to check out all the short films.
We gotta do something. Davidson! Hey, I need you to distract the captain. Right.
From comedy to drama to horror, second-year students in the college film program will showcase their films and experience what it's like to have an audience react to their work. Many film students go on to successful careers in television and the movies. Here's film production program coordinator Eric Weller and two of his film students on the significance of showing off their work on a big screen.
Yeah, this is our annual film night, so we have this every year. Our students have been working hard all year long on their second year films. So this is their major thesis film. And tonight we've got action and adventure and romance and science fiction and you name it, and it's on the big screen.
It's about what goes on in everyday's life. Everyone goes through some stuff, but eventually you have to come out and achieve your goals. The theme of the story is never too late to start over, and the story is just about that.
The Fixer Upper is about an old man who works at a hardware store, and he fixes everyone's problems in the town, and this lady comes in, and she kind of gets a crush on the old man, and she runs out of things for her to get fixed, so she's got to figure something out.
The free Conflicts Film Festival begins at 7 o'clock Saturday evening in the College Lecture Theatre. Seating is first come, first served. The annual Spring Home and Garden Show is now underway at the CLE. The popular event is expected to attract 5,000 to 10,000 people between today and Sunday. This is the 27th annual Home and Garden Show. It's brought out about 150 companies and other vendors from the gardening and home improvement industries. From kitchen to patios, lawn care to landscaping, all 5 buildings on the CLE grounds are filled with booths and exhibits. Co-chair Peter Murch says it's the perfect time for people who are looking for a spring project to come out and see what's available.
People are itching to get out of the winter. We just came through a couple snowfalls, and look at the weather this weekend. It's spectacular. I think what happens is people, first of all, they have an idea as to what they want, whether it is outside work, a driveway or patio or a deck. The other thing that happens at the show is you just walk around and you see things that are actually new, and it's one of those items that you just must have.
The Home and Garden Show will run until 9 o'clock tonight, from 10 to 6 tomorrow, and 11 to 4 on Sunday. Admission is $5. Well, we're now a few weeks into spring, but there's still plenty of snow on the trails at the local cross-country ski centers. Skiers at Camview Nordic Centre were out getting a few more runs in today before the season inevitably comes to an end. All 30 kilometers of trails are still open, in sharp contrast to last April when Camview was already closed for the year. With the sun shining, skiers came out this morning before the snow turned slushy later in the afternoon. General Manager Dave Sutty gives some insight into the current conditions and how much longer they expect to remain open.
Your best bet now is to try and ski in the morning before things warm up, because it gets pretty soft and soupy when you're skiing when it's really warm. And now we're starting to, get some bare spots and a lot of ice and stuff, but the skiing's still pretty choice. They're calling for rain on Sunday, so we're not 100% sure what's going to happen with the chalet on Sunday. It's hard to say what happens to this weekend. I'll have to assess things on Sunday, because there is still a bit of snow around.
The conditions are amazing, and boy, Dave did a fantastic job of grooming.
So we're doing different types of skiing. My sister does classic and I do skate skiing, and as long as you're on the right trails that he's groomed, they're just fine. But honestly, there's like a window of opportunity to be here. It's right now.
Suddy says with more warm temperatures in the forecast, they'll judge the conditions day by day. He hopes the trails can stay open for a little while longer. All right, with that, we bring in Fiona Gardner. And Fiona, that may be wishful thinking if we see more temperatures like we saw today behind you there, getting up into the mid-teens.
That was crazy today.
Yeah.
It was not expected. We knew it was going to be warmer. We were expecting 10, maybe 11 Celsius, but we hit 15. That is just crazy. Not that it's crazy for this time of year. It's above normal, but considering what's been going on and the up and down of the temperatures, this is a nice way to wrap up the week under partly sunny skies, winds from the southwest, 10 to 30 km. And the overnight lows were very seasonal. -6 was our low, wind chills closer to about -10. Now, if we take a look at what's going on throughout the region, it looks like today Thunder Bay was the hot spot at 15 Celsius. But everywhere else, they tried to come close, especially to the west. It's a mixed spattering ranging from 10 Celsius in Dryden, Sioux Lookout, Pickle Lake, up to 11 for Atikoke and Greenstone, Upsala, Kenora, and then 13 in Red Lake. That's under currently mostly cloudy skies. We've got nothing but sunshine to the west thus far, and just a few clouds as you head further east. One thing to note, though, is along the northeastern shores of Lake Superior and east into Sault Ste. Marie, it is much cooler today. This is about the high for the day in the Sioux, 4 Celsius, 5 in Wawa, and Marathon with winds from the southwest off the lake is just currently managing 1 Celsius, so a bit chilly in that portion. Here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, we are going to just barely slip below the freezing mark. -1 is expected to be our low, and with winds practically dying down to about 5 kilometers an hour, no wind chill to speak of. And I think this is a beautiful way to wrap up the week because things are going to get grayer, possibly wetter, and a little bit cooler. But the good news is we are not expected to drop down below seasonal values, so we're going to be still very seasonally mild, but start to say goodbye to the sunshine probably early afternoon tomorrow.
Okay, thanks a lot, Fiona. We will enjoy it while it lasts.